Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me for the first book chat. Welcome. I hope that your Saturday and your weekend are off to a great start. Please feel free to enjoy your coffee or your breakfast or whatever else while we're doing this. I tend to be a lot of an early bird, so I've had my breakfast and my morning hot beverage. I'm not a coffee person, but anyways, feel free. And you can always come back. I'm going to post these on the page later, so if you missed something, you can always come back and review it. And the cats may join me as well. They tend to do that, so if they do, they'll get introduced. But given that this is the first one, I wanted to introduce myself, give you guys an opportunity to ask any questions that I can address in later book chats, and we'll just kind of go from there. And so I'll give you the sort of what to expect in upcoming ones. So if you don't already know, my name is Sarah Woodard. I am an author, a Reiki master teacher, a certified shamanic practitioner, a chemical-free beekeeper, vegan, I'm a cat mom, all sorts of good things. But today, and for all of the book chats, I'm mostly going to be talking about my role as an author and a book coach. So, my desire to be a writer and a published author, I'm pretty sure it initiated like before I was even born, but in fourth grade, we had to write this essay about what you want to be when you grow up. That sort of obligatory thing we all had to write, right? And if you remember writing that and you were in school, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what you wrote about. So at any rate, I got to interview for that paper. I was able to actually interview a local children's author. And it's so funny how things come back around in our lives, because at the time I didn't necessarily think I wanted to be a children's author. I just knew I wanted my name on books, on shelves in stores that I could go and have my picture taken with. And that I could have book signings, and I started practicing how I was going to sign them in like 8th grade, and I still use that signature. How cool is that? And so it's funny though, because life kind of zigs and zags and takes different turns. And I didn't actually start really focusing on writing until a couple of years ago. I was more focused on just the normal, quote unquote, normal corporate career for a really long time. And when I did finally go out on my own the first time, I was focused on writing, but I was really focused on trying to do marketing writing specifically for nonprofits. There was a couple of problems with that. First, I know nothing about marketing writing. And second, as much as I have a heart for nonprofits, I don't really know anything about the business side of running nonprofits. So that wasn't the best avenue for me, and was definitely not successful. Went back to the corporate world for a while because everybody's got to make a living and pay their bills. But eventually I came back around to writing, and it started off just as a freelance thing, which I still do and I still love to do. But I'm very focused now on my books. And if you've been following me for any length of time, you've seen at least one or two of them posted. And I invite you to check out my books on Amazon. The link is in the About section of the Facebook page. And most of them are for children, but I do also write for adults, mostly self-help. Also have recently put out a poetry collection, which was really just, there's a phrase that everybody attributes to Hemingway, but it's not actually something he said. But the saying is, writing is easy, you sit down in front of the typewriter and bleed. And although all of my books are very much my soul on a page, that poetry book really felt like, yep, I just sat down and bled. Very cathartic. It was wonderful, and I would love to do another one in the future. So we'll see what happens. Today I'm also going to give you a quick overview of my process. We'll get into that more down the line. But mostly, the way it started off was I felt compelled to, the very first books I put out were actually my workbooks about how to connect with your spirit guides. And that was just something that I was learning as well, and started putting together workbooks as a way to help me, and then decided I could publish it. But the first children's book, Abby's Big Dream, was, I was reading a sort of very advanced book about Reiki and energy healing and all of that, and it talked about the different phases of existence. And I thought, well, wow, this is really cool. This could be a kid's book. And I started to map it out and all of this. And that took me really a year to put together correctly, because I couldn't get it to come together at first. The Rock, who's the main character, was way too anthropomorphized. It just didn't make sense. So I put it away for 8, 9, 10 months and then brought it back. And so I was like, man, these are really hard. But I didn't mind that it was hard. It wasn't the process I was used to having with my other work, where I'd get inspiration and it would just sort of happen. But that was okay with me. And then my next one was The Little Lost Bee. And that one was a bit easier. I had this idea of wanting to write kids' books to educate people about bees, because I'm a beekeeper, like I said, and also we really need to take care of the bees, because if we don't take care of the bees, we have no food, and if we have no food, we have no us. It's a problem. So I was chatting with another writer friend of mine. I'm like, how can I present this? Like, I had dialogue, but it kept just being like this bee giving a monologue, and that was really boring. And she was the one who had suggested to me that, she could have gotten lost somehow. And then I was able to say, okay, yeah, that's right, because that is what happens when they use pesticides. And okay, so I was able to put together a book. And it was after that my process that I use today really came into play, because I realized that all of my writing, whether it's for children or adults, is really a function of how I connect with and work with spirit. And so basically what I do now is there's a topic that for whatever reason is appealing to me and I want to write about it, whether it's writing about change or writing about confidence or friendship, or I've got some upcoming that are about the Trap Neuter Return program for feral cats, or why we should not rip down the rainforest and what that does, or all of these things. What I do now is I just say, okay, I would really love to have a book about this. If that's in the cards, show me where to go with it. And usually within 5 or 10 minutes, I get the inspiration that I need to go sit down and write the first draft of the book. Now, don't get me wrong. The first draft is not the finished product. But at that point, the idea is in existence. I'm able to work with it and send it to my friend who does my proofreading. And she's able to give me some feedback. And so it's a much more streamlined process, because I realized that it's about how I connect with spirit. And so my book coaching is basically the same thing. I help you get in touch with your inner muse, which is your higher self, is spirit, whatever terms you want to use. And from there, you can write anything, whether it's a kid's book, whether it's a book for young adults, for grown-ups, for whatever it is. But that's where your creativity comes from. And so I'm really excited, because I'm able to now, you guys have seen, I turn out a book pretty quickly. I'm working off a backlog. Like, I don't turn these around that fast. I have a backlog that my illustrator works off of, and however long it takes him is how long it takes him. I don't like having that stress of the book has to be over this date, because I feel like that can impact his creativity and his work, and I don't want to do that to him. I want him to have the freedom to express the story, and for us to go back and forth and make any necessary changes and whatever. So I just allow that to flow. I trust that whatever the timing is divine timing and is perfect. So anyway, that's sort of the brief overview of me and my process. As far as moving forward with these, if you do have questions that you'd like me to answer, whether it's about something you're working on, or anything related to writing or being a published author or self-publishing or anything like that, please feel free to drop me a comment in this video, or a comment, just send it to me via messaging the page or whatever it is. I'd be happy to answer those, but I'm also going to talk about the different books that I have and sort of the process with getting those published. I'm going to talk about the self-publishing process in general. I'm going to talk about just a variety of different things, where my ideas come from, etc. And before you can ask, no, I don't have a preset schedule, because I kind of want to go with what feels right for each given day, depending on what questions come in, depending on what comments I'm seeing on Facebook or wherever else. So I don't have a predefined schedule, but certainly if you want to know what's going to be coming up for that particular Saturday morning, you can ask me and I can let you know as best as I can. So in the meantime, if you want to get even more support around your own writing, I invite you to join my group, the Fiction Writers Forum. If you can't find it just searching, it is on the groups tab of the Facebook page, and I invite you to join me there. And if you have any questions or anything else, please let me know. Have an awesome weekend. Bye-bye.